once the other day in the hallway. You're singing "Oh Happy Day."
One word prayer. Justice, where are you?
Okay, then, where are we?
Well, where are we? Yes, that's Michael Bryant. I'm Linda Kenny Button. I'm in New York City, but Michael Bryant is boots on the ground at the Sarah Boone trial in Florida.
How do you like my office?
Fabulous office. Tell us exactly where you are in the courthouse. And you have some news about an exclusive interview that only Justice Serve TV has.
A very interesting woman. Yeah, we're on the third floor. The courtroom is 12C above me. There's this giant rotunda that kind of drops off to my left. And it's a very ornate, massive building that I'm amazed I haven't been stopped yet. Security's just right down there. And they told me I could kind of do whatever I want around here. And so I am. It's a pretty smooth operation. Let's talk about what's to come. Just briefly on what has happened. We know there's more expert testimony coming this afternoon in the Sarah Boone trial. It is going to be the one doctor who actually examined her. Earlier today, we heard from an expert who was really a spousal abuse, person abuse expert, to lay that groundwork for the jury so they could understand the condition, assuming they find that Sarah Boone suffers from that condition. This will be a doctor that actually examined her. So that's the testimony coming up. Actually, they're probably getting back at it right about now. So don't rush off. It'll be funny. They're doing.
Well, tell us about, before we get into the testimony on the spousal abuse syndrome, tell us about the exclusive interview that you procured this morning, and we're going to show it later on tonight.
Yeah, there's a woman, her name is Maria. That's all we're going to disclose. She was going to be a witness for the defense, and they effectively released her saying, I believe the decision was that whatever she had to testify about was cumulative. She's there as a former neighbor, and she calls herself a current friend of Sarah Boone, who was well aware of the interaction between George Torres and Sarah Boone, and not in a good way. I mean, she was very well aware of it. She talks openly about the two of them, how she felt about him, how she now feels about Sarah, what she thinks about this process, and all of the things she experienced while she was a neighbor in that complex. So fascinating, and she's clearly really invested in what's happening here, and in a strange moment actually took some blame herself, which I found very interesting. She was very emotional, and so we'll get into all of that. We do protect her identity because she felt that was important. Her name is Maria, and so we'll hear her story and what her involvement was going to be in this trial, which is now not going to happen. So we have that exclusive interview.
And we're going to post that as an exclusive interview later on Justice Serve TV. We'll Twitter it out. Obviously, when that is done, could you tell us why she didn't testify?
Well, again, my speculation is that they don't tell her anything. Whoever came out to tell her was pretty vague, and her understanding was even more vague. But I believe that either there was an objection, it was going to be cumulative, based on other testimony from both the defendant and the pictures that have been used to show each of these alleged incidents that took place. So that somebody made an objection. I'm sure that she's got nothing new to add. And that's a reasonable objection. I think it would have been nice, though, to hear from a human being other than the defendant, but she's not going to testify.
Yeah, other than the defendant and other than doctors who, weren't there at the time and didn't actually see the claimed abuse. Maybe no one did. But speaking about the claimed abuse, Michael, there was testimony about the spousal abuse syndrome, but the doctors did rely on a video that was shown to the jury concerning George Torres apparently being a righty and attacking a TV set. Tell us about that, and we're going to play the video.
Yeah, the theory was that, that was an example of his violent nature, why she would be afraid of him, because he's used the bat on objects that I guess were in her orbit. I don't know how it plays, really. I think the jury, they were watching, but it wasn't like, these are not law and order moments where somebody faints or somebody gasps audibly. They were attentive to it. I don't know how much it really impacts what they're ultimately going to decide. Now, if we had video of him using the bat on her, that's a whole different story.
Well, but let's watch. Let's take it. Let's watch it for ourselves with our own eyes. Let's see the video if we can, Michael.
I'd love to see the video. We have it?
Yeah, we have it. There you
Oh,
go.
there we go.
You're gonna help me take this out. Real You're gonna help me take it out. You're gonna help me take it out.
All right.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? It's the same bat, I assume, Louisville Slugger, that she used to put into the suitcase and apparently go after his fingers, I would believe. But Michael, it's not just the doctors that are relying on this, and I see we have more of this George Torres smashing the TV video. It's a little glitchy right now, but the jury did see it, and we just saw the important part of him holding that bat. But she was on the stand yesterday. There were some high points and some high moments. One of them was when she. Oh wait, hold on. Oh, there we go. We actually playing it now. Oh. Let's see. That's pretty. I have to tell you, Michael. Watching this is, I know it's
violent.
a thing, but it's violent. And if you're living with somebody and they start doing this in front of you to a TV set because they're angry, that's a pretty heightened sense of anger that somebody could have.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt it has some impact. I just think because it was an inanimate object and he wasn't, if he'd said, "This is your head," and then he starts hitting the TV, I mean, something that would make a closer connection to any abuse she alleges he used on her. I've tried to do that many times watching some old TV shows. You just feel like you want to just take a bat and bash the TV. And sometimes it's just what you need. Not in the context of this case. I just don't think it was as powerful maybe as the defense hoped it was.
Yeah, but you know what? Oh, but there's first of all, I have to give a shout out to Kathy Russon, our old producer. Lusan, Kathy, I'm gonna make you French again. I love that to do that. The smashing TVs, he doesn't seem angry, and he knows she's filming. Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes it's interesting with DV. I mean, there's a whole level of hey, let me just show you, and you could replay this back to look at it every time you think that I won't do this to your head. It's kind of like a threat out there. It's interesting. It depends on whether or not you've been the victim of DV, I think, or not, how you're going to take that video in. And Pat Hulbert, that was a lot, pretty much anger. That's definitely some anger issues, there. And I've seen anger issues in some people before, and that's not one that I'd like to see. Certainly not like to represent. But Michael, there was also a high point which, when she testified, she actually was showing the jury how George was in the suitcase. That there's a photograph of it. How did that go over?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to work that out. If the suitcase don't fit, you must acquit. I'm not sure, but I think that's important for the jury, because I think when people hear the story, the first thought is, how did a human get in that? It's basically a carry-on type suitcase. 8 7/8 thick. It's got 22 inches long. It's small. Okay, so I think it was a good idea to at least give the jury some sense of that spatial orientation. And did it help the defense? It was the prosecution who was making the original inquiry about the suitcase. I don't think, as a defense attorney, I'm real happy with that happening.
Well, no, and that's what one of the things I said to our producer, Dizzy, when I looked at that, and we may have we're going to try to see if we can have the actual clip of it, or not even the clip, just a screenshot of it. I'm telling you, the prosecution had to do that. I've been in situations where the prosecution wants my client to either hold a gun in the courtroom, several situations, at least 3 of them that I know of, that I can recall. Objection, Your Honor, because that's the last thing you want, because what appears on the front page of every single person doing this is Sarah Boone leaning in and showing where George was with really, which was the murder weapon, which is a suitcase, which suffocated him. I mean, where do people get? You don't let the prosecution do that. You go up to the judge, and you say it's too prejudicial, and you object. You don't don't stand right next to her and let it happen. I'm sorry, Michael. I think that was a big oops.
Yeah, I think everybody remembers the OJ case, and that was a huge problem when the defense asked OJ to try on the glove, and the rest is history, really. If it don't fit, you must acquit, and they did. So it was a moment, though.
It was definitely a moment.
It was a moment, and it's not often you see a suitcase as really the murder weapon.
Now, really, let's transition here a little bit. Again, I'm going to remind you all that we have an exclusive interview with someone named Maria. We will be posting that later on, that Michael Bryant got while he's in the courthouse there, and that where you still are, and where you're still going to be a week. Well, I enjoy beautiful sunny New York. But anyhow, let's transition a little bit, because we have a new thing that we're doing here on Justice Served TV. We have some of our viewers who are coming on to ask us and talk with us with questions. And I don't know if they're nervous or not. Okay. I'm going to see if we can call Amanda up. And the reason why I'm doing that is because she has a mug that I really want to steal. Amanda, show it. It's a Justice Served TV mug. And for some reason, you won that because you discovered Where in the World is Justice, the first contest where Michael Bryant was going to be. And he gave you the mug, but he never sent his partner, Linda, one. What can I say?
It's a very exclusive club. So yeah.
So, Amanda, you have a question?
I actually do. And it's actually about the Karen Reed trial.
That's okay.
Because we just had the whole situation with the judge. So from what I understood, they rotate out of counties every so many years. So Judge Cannone was supposed to rotate out of Norfolk County at the beginning of the year, but they're stating she's going to stay on the case. How does that work?
Well, having been the only person who probably has tried the case in Massachusetts, the Hernandez case, it's very different. They do things differently there. But you can, in different jurisdictions, and I know this is also true in New Jersey, assign a judge to stay on one case when they've had the case. It just happens. The head judge, the chief judge can do that. And, think about it. Do you think any other judge wants to come into this trial and try the case? Not really. So I think the defense may be stuck with her. I thought initially that's a possibility, that maybe she wants to rotate out, right? That she wants to leave. But the assignment judge, the head judge, the presiding judge, whatever they call them in Massachusetts, has the ability to keep a judge assigned to a particular case.
Yeah, and that happens in a lot of places. It's all about judicial economy, It can go sideways. Let's say, for example, if a judge is recused and then somebody else has to step in and pick up where they left off, like in YSL, then it's a mess, right? But that's a guy that we were glad they got rid of him. But in most cases, it would make more sense to stay with the judge, just because the normal rules rotate the judge out. You got to be flexible. It wouldn't make sense to really start over again with a new judge.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. Can we bring Missy on also? So you have company, Amanda. I know you're nervous, and I don't want to make you too nervous, both of you. Hi, Missy, because we do the question and answers live, but then we post this as a actual episode, and that's when you're going to get a lot of hits and a lot of fame, and there's going to be all sorts of YouTube comments. With YouTube comments when I'm trying a case as defense attorney, they're all bad. They all hate me, right? But now it's okay. But they're not going to hate you, because that was a great question that's right in the news. Mm-hmm. So, Missy, keep Amanda company. What's your question?
Well, I think I will build on Amanda's question. And I know there was new breaking news yesterday that Ashley had won her, her petition. And so Judge Glanville should have recused himself. What happens to Judge Glanville now that's happened?
So
we had go ahead. Well, we had a few people.
Question.
Yeah, a few people were asking that same question because they're mad.
Mm-hmm.
They're asking it in the context of Glanville's inappropriateness. And they're also asking it about some of the folks like Sledge who have suffered the consequences. He had his probation revoked, as we all know, and these kinds of things have been just coming to the surface from this one trial. So he's been recused. He could be sanctioned, he could be disciplined, he could be suspended, he could be fired. I mean, there's a whole level of punishment in my opinion, very little is going to happen. That's my guess. He might get some public censorship or censure, as they call it. Linda, any chance this guy's going to lose his gig? I don't think so.
I thought initially, Michael, he should. I thought, and I still think he should be disrobed beyond it. But you know, last night we, when you were out getting exclusive interviews for us, so we did an interview with Ashley Merchant, right, which we posted on our Justice Serve TV YouTube page, so you can go look at it. And she had actually, we had known about the opinion coming down, and then we got a copy from her, and then she was kind enough to go on. She said that he's like a really well thought of judge, that he's a military war hero, a decorated veteran, and that he can seem very gruff. But when you listen to Ashley talk about him, there seemed to be no anger in him. She says he's just used to being in the military. This, you do this, and you just do it. You know, you obey me, which was an interesting take from her, because that's why she went running down when she heard he had done this to Brian Steele. But my view is that he should be disrobed because of it. But you know, I don't make them rules as to what's going to happen. You know, and but it was a great win for the Georgia Defense Bar and for all attorneys who are representing people. Can you imagine, guys? You hire an attorney, and your attorney gets put in jail in the middle of the trial, and he ordered him put in jail in the middle of the trial.
Ridiculous. So, Missy, what do you think should happen?
I'm not sure. I think maybe he should be like disciplined or something, because I find it interesting that his reaction was, who told you? How do you know? That kind of things, rather than the behavior. He wanted to know who told. And that to me is a red flag.
Yeah, that was what it screamed out. You busted me, you're in trouble. You know, it made no sense. You caught me. Now I'm turning it on you. And I think that was just way too obvious. People saw that.
And Amanda, what are your thoughts about that? Since you're the one who started this whole judge issue, because unfortunately, you know, for every wrongful conviction, there's a judge in the courtroom. Those are the things that happen. You know, the judge is always there, the person in the robe.
Yep. I know, I agree with Missy. I do think that there should be some type of discipline. Maybe not, you know, disrobing him per se, but some kind of discipline to say, hey, you can't do this, judge, in the first place, let alone try to blame somebody else for what you've done. Is kind of how it feels, in my opinion. By asking the question, like Missy said, red flag, by saying, well, who said something? It doesn't matter who said what at that point. If you've done wrong, then you should be disciplined for it.
Yep. And if you do that and you don't think it was wrong, that's a whole other thing. And I get the feeling he didn't think it was wrong. And that's wrong.
So Missy and Amanda, would you tell people to submit their questions so you could be on live with us with this new feature we're trying to do to get our viewers more involved? Is it scary? Is it something you recommend? Both of you.
I definitely recommend. This is a lot of fun. Definitely, you can get your questions on and submit them. If you're not following Justice Served on Twitter, that's an excellent place to start. So you can interact with Michael and Linda there. But also, Michael has been putting out Boone observations like every so often, and I've just been like refreshing. I'm so interested in what's going on in that courtroom.
He's got an interesting point.
Let me mention a little something that I learned, and I've got two sources on it, so I feel good mentioning it. As I think I mentioned the other day, there are 7 people in the front row and 7 in the back. That's 14. They only have 6 in the jury here. The other 8 are alternates. The front row, from what I've been told, which is 5 women and 2 men, are all part of the main jury, which means, that's one too many, by the way, because that's 7. That means that the body of this jury is predominantly women. And at least one of them, this is, you know, my first thought was when they seem to be so attentive with the spousal or person abuse issues were being talked about, I said, if any one of them has even a faint history that seems similar, they're going to be on her side. And I was told that one of those female jurors has a domestic violence issue or past. So
domestic violence issue or past, you mean
suffered from some level of domestic violence. Now, how that survived voir dire, I don't know, but that's what I've been told. And again, I double sourced that, so That's what I believe to be the case. And if that's true, we only need one for a hung jury. That could make a huge difference.
Really
That's what I've
interesting.
heard too. I've been hearing that at least one, if not two, possibly, but one has been, from what I hear, has a past of DV or some kind of, you know, um, interaction with it, basically. But I don't know that I personally would say that I have a past with DV myself, and I'm not on Sarah Boone's side.
That's
My
interesting.
opinion.
Yeah, why? Because that's the theory, is that if you have a past history of being a victim of it, you'd be on her side. What is it about her? Because I have my theories. What is it about her that you find no?
So, a couple of things that um, bother me with the situation alone is she seems very controlling. She seems, if you listen to her when she was on the stand and she was talking about that day, it was always her finding entertainment for him. It was always her bringing him in from outside or taking him outside. She was the one telling him to do this or do that, basically. And it, to me, when you're in my personal experience, when you're the person that the DV is against, you're not the controlling person. You're not the one telling that person to do this or do that, because if you do, and every situation is going to be different, right?
Right.
But again, in my personal experience, you try to tell somebody who is the one committing the DV to do something to take their mind off of it or whatever. If you don't do it the right way, it's not going to end well for you. Um,
Well,
and
apparently she's
just the
testifying
talk.
against her husband in a domestic violence case, says Dizzy, that was revealed on voir dire. So does that affect you? Missy, what do you think about that? Because I've been working on putting this panel together in the future for domestic violence, so we can get into it more. But
Yeah, that's certainly an interesting way to view it, because I mean, I've had family violence, growing up as a child in the home, and that does ring true to me. Typically, the person with the power. It's typically abuses about power and control, and she does seem to wield a lot of control, and she does also it kind of seems like she treats him like a baby. We got to take George, we got to keep him entertained and fed, and we got to take him outside, and we got she's
Yeah.
it's a very interesting dynamic. I haven't quite put my finger on it, because it seems like they're both violent against each other. Like that video of the TV. I don't know if that swayed any of the jurors visibly, but I mean, it's certainly, I can see it causing some people to kind of change their position and rethink this. Have you seen any of that with the jury? Are they kind of?
It's funny when you watch a jury, you're hoping for any kind of indication, any sign, whether you're trying the case or just observing it, and they're pretty darn good poker players, I'll tell you that. So unless it really moves them, unless there's some visceral reaction, I notice a lot by note taking. To me, when somebody's really taking notes, it's resonating for whatever reason, good or bad. I didn't see a lot of that during that demonstration, but nobody was looking away. They were taking it in, putting it in whatever perspective they felt was important. I just felt like it showed him being a little violent toward the TV, obviously, but not, that didn't help me get to, oh, he must use the bat on her as well. I just didn't get there.
Yeah, and also the suitcase, the missing 11 minutes where between where he's
The
pleading
11
out.
minutes. Yeah, that 11 minutes.
Yeah, on that. So, but thank you both for joining us, because I think this is it's a really good input, and I'm sure these are the discussions the jury is going to have in that jury room. Yeah, thank you again. And again, you will be turned over and probably have about 1,000 views later on. You're gonna both be famous. And thank you for sharing, both Amanda and Missy, about the fact that
Thanks,
you've
guys.
had experiences
Yeah.
with domestic violence, either family violence or DV, because
Well,
I
I
think
think
most people have had that.
exactly. That's the other point that makes, that it's not exactly a rare situation, unfortunately. So
Yeah, yeah.
let me
Yeah,
see if
terrible.
I can, from the remote location here, from our remote location, let me see if I can pull up some questions that I've slopped together here, and a lot of them have to do with, what a surprise, YSL. Um, so let me see if I can find a little something. Oh, I mentioned Sledge. Let's talk about what his situation is. Um, hey, there we go. Hold on a second. There we go. Nope, I missed it. Wrong one. There we go. There. Okay. So I think that's an interesting procedural issue. Any thoughts on that?
Mistrial is granted. Will
Will
Sledge
Sledge
be
be able to
able to
get
get
out?
out? Well, what's he in jail for now? Is
Well,
this
they
time?
revoked his probation
They
and they
wrote
gave
right.
him 5 years. I mean, they're totally parallel tracks, but one doesn't crisscross with the other, unfortunately, for Mr. Sledge. They decided, I believe, to make an example of him because
right?
he wasn't playing ball. And so here's what happens if you don't play ball. You
Yeah,
folks
yeah,
that
yeah.
lose
I
a part
think
of the game.
so. I think you're absolutely right. I think he stays in there because he was to send the message, although his attorneys are going to continue to try to get him out if a mistrial is granted, obviously.
Right.
On the basis that was, I'm sure there's going to be appeals of that. But there's no doubt in my mind that he was being used to send a message to, you got to be with us. But I thought was interesting, Michael, is I don't see Miss Love controlling that courtroom anymore. Do we get any questions about that?
We did not. Last time we did, mainly because we realized, hey, things are much more efficient when she's not there. But they weren't really questioning why she wasn't there. I've not seen that. Maybe it's a situation where don't bother, don't ask, don't ask, don't tell. We don't really care why she's not there. The fact that she's not there seems to be helping the process. So.
Right, and all, Doug. We know Doug Weinstein is off this week. He's away. We won't
Well-deserved
disclose his
vacation.
location. We won't disclose his location. But the courtroom is running fabulously. Also, no matter cross examinations are going fabulously. What do you guys think about the email? Well, that's an interesting one, Michael. I'm going to throw that one to you.
I think it is too, because remember, we talked about the meeting with Glanville in his office without defense counsel, being an ex parte. This was an ex parte communication, and what it was a series of emails that did not go directly to or from Fani Willis. They went to somebody in her office. She was CC'd, and then she, either by accident or on purpose, CC'd everybody on her reply to the email. And well, guess who was also CC'd? The court. So it may seem inadvertent. I don't trust anything that comes out of that DA's office anymore, but ultimately, it was not decided to be an ex parte communication that would affect the ongoing YSL Young Thug trial. But it was just another indication that office, the DA's office, is a mess. I mean, how do you make such a...
They keep saying incompetency. We saw that even with the records request. We're incompetent, therefore we can't be held accountable.
I thought that was a very interesting defense. We don't know what's going on, Judge. And this was the case in which, obviously, Ashley Merchant was trying to get those documents, and there was a mess in her getting them. She has to ultimately sue them, and they win. The husband-wife team of Merchant, they win against Fani Willis's office. But the attorney arguing for Fani Willis was basically saying, hey, we're a mess here. Some stuff goes to IT, some stuff goes to Fulton County, some stuff comes to the DA's office. We just don't know. So then when Mr. Dexter Bond was testifying, he just says, we can't control that. We don't know. So we don't have any, basically, so we don't have documents responsive because we don't know what the hell we're doing. Oh, okay. So that's I think this is just another example of how that office is a mess. That part I don't think was intentional. I just think sloppy.
Although I think
I always say never reply all. Never reply all.
Never at all. You're absolutely right. But also, it just as Ashley said, hey, you would think in a situation where we're arguing over ex parte meetings, there wouldn't be another ex parte communication that would go to it, that you would take your time to take a look at it. And that seems to be like, well, my feeling and some people's feeling, I know we had some question on this. Well, the judge is just letting it happen anyhow. The judge is not doing anything. If you can't get a mistrial, so what? So you can make all the mistakes you want to make, intentional or non-intentional. If they're not going to be, no mistrial is going to be granted.
Yeah, there's no penalty, and so it becomes just a joke. Here's another question that had to do with the Sledge appeal, or lack of appeal. Can Sledge ruling be appealed? And again, this is him having his probation revoked, and so now he's doing 5 years. And I don't know. To tell you the truth, procedurally, I'm not sure appeal would be the proper avenue to address that. What do you think?
I think he can appeal the length of the term for the probation revocation.
The length?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he can appeal the length of the term. Right.
I think they gave him 5. Technically, he was on the hook for 30.
Right.
Based on the deal that they had crafted. And remember, this was a plea deal in which he agreed to tell the truth. Then he testifies or was not going to testify in a way that matches what they believe is the truth. And so they basically say you've violated the plea agreement, therefore probation no longer a gift. Now, what we talked about too was how many people have lied that have been given deals in this trial.
Right.
It's easier just to say everybody, because that's almost the case.
You get a deal. You get a deal. You get a deal. You lied. You lied. You lied. I mean, it's kind of thematic here, except for little Woody, who should be giving lessons about how you testify when it's not going to be in accordance with your plea agreement, your immunity agreement.
He's got his own thing going. He's something. Okay, we also get to share good and bad, which I like about this little segment. I will let you choose. You want good or bad?
I want bad. Let's give it. Put a bad one up there. Put a bad one up there.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. I feel like it disappeared here. I'm gonna search for it. I'm gonna give you
just like some.
Yeah, it's funny how that would happen.
It's like some of the evidence the prosecutor was doing in.
I'll give you a good one while I'm looking for the bad one. How about that?
Okay. Oh yes, it is, and that leads me to you have to subscribe, share, like, and notify. Subscribe, share, like, and notify on our Justice Serve TV page, and that way we can get the word out more. As we're young.
You like that one? Okay. So wait, I think I found the one I'm really looking for. Bear with me here as I come back.
Although I would point out we do have some episodes that we have 30,000 views on within our 6 weeks of being birthed.
What I think is the beauty of this operation is, and the online streaming stuff, you can go back. You like an Ashley Merchant interview, you can go look for 2 or 3 others that we've done, or you like a Doug Weinstein interview.
Right.
You can pick up on little tidbits you may have missed before. So let me see if I can get back in to join you in this mess here, because I found the one I was hoping for. I found it. I just can't find you. Let's see. How about
Boone's on recess again, so you're not missing anything.
Actually, I think they're back now. Yeah, because they had kind of an. See, I think.
Afton just said Boone's on recess again. 1:32.
Oh, they're on a little break. Okay. Oh, now I think.
How nice of them to accommodate our show.
Yeah, I thought that's what they were doing. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm failing at finding that doggone one, and it really was a bad one.
Well, no, Afton said they're waiting for the next witness. Damn, I thought they were just accommodating our show. Well,
okay.
Did you find it, Michael? I mean, we're giving you all this work. Like, they're lazy.
Yeah, you read a little of that, and then I'll get into the details.
Referring to those of us who vote, and you're a jerk, sir. We're definitely not all lazy. I don't know who you're referring to. Must be your own cohorts.
Okay.
Okay.
Here's you may remember this back when we were talking about I think with Ashley at the time. Oh, we were talking about Fani Willis.
Wait, Michael, I have to
election.
interrupt you.
Yeah.
Dizzy, could you put Sheila Duffy's thing up there so we can see it? Because the witness is stuck in a security line with you, Michael. Could you give me the same security line?
I'll let you know when he or she comes in. I think it's the doctor, right? I'm sure it's the doctor. Yeah. Anyway, I'll let you know because they got to come right down here below me. Okay, so Fani Willis is for re-election, and my opinion about the electorate, which is a plural for people who vote, I said the electorate are lazy. Now, and I think I said most of the electorate are lazy, and Ashley agreed with me. And we went back and forth about that's unfortunate. People don't really check into the people they might vote for or the subjects they might vote for. Well, this person obviously took my most of the electorate are lazy and applied it to him or herself and thought I was accusing that person. Obviously, if you're into this enough that you take time to write that note, you're probably more involved than most of the electorate. Okay, so I put you in the 49% of those that are maybe a little more educated than the 51%, which is most of the electorate that not so educated. So, but I do like being called a jerk because I'm still trying
Law
to get that.
jerk.
I'm
Law
still trying to
jerk,
get the license plate. I can't even get
Oh
the
my
license plate.
gosh. Oh my gosh,
So-
they didn't realize that they were actually doing you a favor here.
I
Law
know.
jerk.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, so I'm still
Hey,
looking
as
for
long
other
as they
stuff.
spell your name right, Michael, and jerk, I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's much easier to spell than my real name, I guess, which tends to get an A slammed back in there at times. So anyway, I think that's all the good and bad I've got for you on the notes
Okay.
here.
All right. So I think we've been through Boone. What do you expect now in Boone before I let you go?
Well, if this witness ever makes it through security,
There we go.
I guess we'll have more medical testimony. And again, we believe this to be the doctor that actually examined Sarah Boone. And then don't forget tonight at I haven't figured out the time yet. I'm going to say 6 because I think that's safe. At 6 o'clock, we'll have the exclusive interview with the would-be witness that didn't take the stand because apparently somebody decided what she has to say about all of the injuries and the interaction between George Torres and the defendant was cumulative, perhaps, but she has a story to tell, and I think you ought to check that out. Let's say tonight at 6 o'clock.
All right. So, Michael, before we sign off, you have a word of advice that you're going to tell everybody?
Are you teeing up my my axiom? Try to do the right thing.
And Afton Vallow will address next time, but I just want to tell you to know about the next time. You have to subscribe, share, like, notify. You'll get notice of that witness interview. I'm Linda Kenny Bodden. Michael Bryant. We'll see you later.